Hello, Internet. Welcome to NerdChat. If you've never been here before, a little bit of what we do is we basically try to break down comic book stories for people who are trying to get into comics. So Rick and I both know that the world of comic books is a bit large and intimidating, and they've been around forever. So it's hard to figure out where to start, and it's hard to. Some people want to, see cool comic book stories, but it's hard to track down which ones they should look at or what's the best thing to read or where to get started. So a little bit of what we do is we try to bring you some interesting stories that we think people would enjoy. And since there's a lot of other comic book channels that do the exact same thing, we try to hunt down a little bit of lesser covered stories. Things that we think are interesting or important that we feel need a little bit more coverage or we really like to talk about. So, and what we're doing today is Star Wars Day. So it is May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you. And it's also Free Comic Book Day. So I thought I'd combine the two. If you have been on my channel before, you may know that Rick and I usually do these things together. If you haven't seen our update video, we are not really doing that as much anymore. It'll still happen from time to time, but in order for me to be actually getting you the videos that I promised that I will do, I'm going to be doing these on my own. So there's an update video explaining more about this. If you want to know more, you can go check that out. But just so you know in the future, if you've never been here before, this is, the story that you're going to see from here on out. If you check out some other videos, it's going to be different. And if you have been here before, you will notice that it's just me. But that's okay. I'm entertaining enough, right? You guys like me. So anyway, let's hop into the issue. So what we're covering today, Star Wars Issue 1. So like I said, in celebration of Star Wars Day, May the 4th, and Free Comic Book Day, I'm going to give you Star Wars Issue 1. So this is from Marvel Comics back in 1977, and it's their take on Star Wars. So this does go through the movies. And right now, so the comic we're going over, I'm going to put the creators up on screen, all the artists and writers, everything that you can see, who brought you this comic, whether those names are recognizable to you or not. Regardless, I want to make sure that they get the credit that is deserved. So, like I said, this comic follows the same story as the movie, but it does add a few things, and we're going to get to see a couple things from a different angle, which is, hanging with me, and you'll see really quickly what I mean. So, the opening narration is essentially the same, where, they're talking about, the Empire is attempting to crush the rebellion once and for all, and we see now the space battle that's happening over Tatooine. It's not going very well for the rebels because the stormtroopers have boarded their vessel. This is where we get to see R2 and 3PO for the first time, and they're starting to make their escape in the middle of this battle that is extremely hard to follow. As you can see in the art, it's a little clustered, to say the least. But now this is where we see our first change. So in Marvel's adaptation, they actually use a lot of the deleted scenes from the film. And it's neat. It's really cool to see. There's this other aspect of Luke's story that you didn't get to see because the first time you see Luke is much later in the film. Now they made that choice in the film for a reason, and originally they were going to show him earlier because they thought it was absurd to wait so long to see your main character. But it ended up working, and this film obviously didn't fail from it because I'm still talking about Star Wars right now. So we go down to the surface of Tatooine, where we see a young Luke Skywalker looking through his macro binoculars up at the sky, and he's trying to see the commotion up above in space. So he kind of struggles to see the battle up above, and he heads into a speeder, and he speeds off to Anchorhead. We quickly go back to the ship where a stormtrooper is informing Vader that the ship's information records have been wiped. Vader grabs a rebel, and he picks him up by the throat, demanding to know where the data is that they intercepted. The rebel claims, "We're just on a diplomatic mission." Vader yells at the rebel, saying that he is a liar. He claims the ship carries the crest of Alderaan, and asks if any of the royal family is on board. When the rebel refuses to respond, Vader crushes his throat and orders the stormtroopers to tear the ship apart and find the data. If they find any passengers, he wants them alive. We now see Princess Leia for the first time, and she is currently putting her message in R2-D2. As Leia flees, R2 and 3PO load into the escape pod. Right after the pod launches, some stormtroopers move in on Leia. She shoots one down, but another trooper hits her with a stun blast. Back on Tatooine, we see that Luke is going into an Anchorhead cantina where he runs into his old friend Biggs. Biggs has just graduated from the Imperial Academy, and he has been assigned to the Rand Ecliptic. He's coming by just to say goodbye to all his friends before he ships out. Luke wants to show Biggs the battle above, and they go out to look at it through the Mac binoculars, but the ships are just sitting there. Because the battle has ended, they don't know that. Biggs thinks that they're just refueling. There was never any battle to begin with. Back on the ship, Leia's lying through her teeth that she was on a diplomatic mission, and Vader doesn't believe her for a second. This is when Vader claims that Leia is a part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor, and he takes her prisoner. Vader sends some troops to go investigate the escape pod that was launched, and now back on the surface we see 3PO and R2 as they roam the desert, and they are now immediately captured by Jawas. Back with Biggs and Luke, now in private, Biggs explains to Luke that he isn't actually going to his Imperial post. He was actually going off to join the Rebel Alliance. Biggs and Luke, they talk about how dangerous it is, but Biggs wants to fight for the side that he actually believes in. Meanwhile, Luke is feeling helpless because he's stuck on Tatooine. His Uncle Owen is a moisture farmer and he needs Luke's help for one more season. Now we get a quick change over to an Imperial conference room, where some of the high-ranking Imperials are discussing the rebellion and Darth Vader. This is when we get the first mention of a battle station nearing completion, aka the Death Star, but they don't say that's the Death Star quite yet. What their concern is that the rebels have just stole plans for the Death Star, and the obvious problem being they might find a weakness in the superweapon. Some of them are very concerned, since they claim the Death Star is now the ultimate power in the universe. And then, I kid you not, Vader uses the Force to bring himself a cup of coffee. You can see the little steam trail, and I think that he does this to show that he's making a physical demonstration with the Force. Because this is where he's mentioning that the weapon may be powerful, but it's nothing compared to the power of the Force. Now, it's weird because what's he gonna do with the cup of coffee? He has a mask, he's obviously not gonna drink it, so he must have just done it to show a physical demonstration. And also, while I was typing this out, it became really obvious to me how lazy of a name the Force is. That's just I'm sure that I'm not the first one to bring this up, but it had to have been George Lucas is yeah, and then there's gonna be this mystic cosmic force that binds the universe together, and someone was what are you gonna call it? I just told you, it's a force, just the Force. That's it. I don't need a name. I mean, it obviously it works, and I wouldn't change it for the world, but it is a little ridiculous that there was it's just oh yeah, there's a force, meh. Some Force. Anyway, back to the story. One of the admirals is mocking Vader and his belief in the Force, just like in the movie, and Vader chokes him out. Grand Moff Tarkin orders Vader to release him and assures that the admirals. Grand Moff Tarkin orders Vader to release him and assures the admirals that Darth Vader will resecure the Death Star plans. Back on Tatooine with R2 and 3PO, the Jawas are lining up some droids to be sold. The whole deal is the same as the movie, where they walk out, see Luke and Uncle Owen on their farm. Owen buys C-3PO for his protocol functions, and they buy one of the other astromechs, and it breaks down on its way over. 3PO recommends to the R2-D2 unit instead, and Luke takes them over to be cleaned. As Luke is cleaning them, the message from Leia pops up. "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." R2 claims to be the property of an Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Luke mentions that he knows old Ben Kenobi, who lives out in the Dune Sea, but the message vanishes and Luke can't get it back. A few hours later at dinner, Luke is telling Uncle Owen that the R2 unit might be stolen goods, and how it claims to belong to an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Owen gets absurdly angry at Luke. He's claiming that the name is from another time, and Luke is to get the droid's memory wiped in the morning and stay away from that old wizard Ben. Luke asks what if Obi-Wan comes looking for the droid, and Owen says he won't, because Obi-Wan Kenobi died around the same time as Luke's father. This prompts more questions from Luke that go unanswered. About, did Obi-Wan know my father, what happened, and Luke doesn't get any answers, and Luke storms off to go and can finish cleaning the droids. Luke finds 3PO hiding and discovers that R2 is taken off. It's too late at this point to go look for him, too late at night, so they're going to wait till the morning, take the speeder and 3PO to go and try to see if they can track down R2. Now we have a really quick cut to the escape pod that R2 and 3PO crashed in, and some stormtroopers have just realized that it was droids that came in it. Backing into Luke, they have located R2 and they're moving in on him fast, but some Tusken Raiders are looking down at them from the cliff sides that they don't see. Luke and 3PO finally catch up to R2, but R2 quickly warns them of the Sand People. Now, they're not an immediate threat, but Luke explains that the Sand People are wild and savage creatures, and he heads up the cliff to scout out where they might be. He's able to look with his macro binoculars and see that there is one raider that he can see and 2 banthas, which are the things that they ride. So if there's 2 banthas and 1 raider, there's probably another raider somewhere. And right at that moment, 3PO shouts out to warn Luke, but the raider attacks him from behind. Luke goes to block with his gun that he brought, but it doesn't. The Tusken Raider smashes right through it with his stick, and that is where the issue ends. So most of us know where the story goes on from here. And if this is your first intro to Star Wars, wow, that had to be different for you, and I'm really curious about your experience. But yeah, so that is the issue. I really like the idea that you have the deleted scenes in here that the movie had taken out, where you get to see what kind of a threat the Empire is to the common people, where it's like Luke actually mentions in it that he's willing to he's excited to go join the Imperial Academy because it's what he can do to get out of his home. Like, it's just finally a way to leave Tatooine. He's willing to go work for the Empire just because it's what there is to do. They know he doesn't like the Empire, but what else is he going to do? I mean, they're obviously taking over the universe or the galaxy. Why bother trying to stop him? If you can't beat him, join him. Until he talks to Biggs, and that's where we get the first instance. Like, because when you think about it in your mind, like, there's 2 opposing armies. There's the rebellion and there's the Empire. And you join one and you fight the other. But it's not as simple as that. Like, the rebellion is a secret. Like, you can't just go and join it. And that's where Biggs, he mentions that, like, there's, like, a spot that they have to, like, jump ship, where he met some people during the training that had, like, connections to the rebellion for him to get in. So it's this really, it's interesting. So, there are people that believe in the cause of the Empire, but a lot of people just, become stormtroopers or whatever because it's what there is to do for work. Like, Luke doesn't want to be a moisture farmer forever. So it's neat. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and if you like this kind of a style, I hope that if you've been here before that you don't mind me doing it on my own. I hope that I was entertaining enough for you, and if this is new to you, then I hope that you just enjoyed the experience in general. But we do have a whole bunch of other videos on the channel, where if you want to go check out some of our other comic book stuff, like I just did a story where we talk about it's like a crossover between the X-Men and Spider-Man over a bunch of years. And then we have a bunch of other Star Wars stuff on the channel if you're still in the mood for more of that. There's like a What If series that we did called Star Wars Infinities, where it changes like one thing in the movies and you get to see how the rest of the timeline plays out. So you want to go check out those. I'll put some links to all this stuff in the thing at the end. They'll probably be popping up soon. And yeah, if you really liked us, like, comment, subscribe, all of that jazz. You've been on YouTube before. And in the description, you can see we have a Discord as well. If you want to join that, you can talk to either of us directly. And if you want any stories for me to cover in the future, please, talk to me and let me know. But yeah, I hope you stick around, and I hope that you enjoyed our video. And I will catch you all later.